This week in Jamaica Now, savagery. Jamaicans left shocked after a 15-year-old girl was allegedly raped and beaten to death in a home invasion. Was an elderly woman reportedly battling dementia pressured into spending $2 billion in a business deal? New data shows Jamaica's birth rate continues to fall, but worryingly, suicides are trending up. And Jamaica's Sunshine Girls claim bronze in South Africa to end 16 years World Cup medal drought. I'm Jovan Johnson, and this is Jamaica Now. A police investigation has intensified into the savage attack on 3 female relatives as they slept at their home in Cotton Tree, Albert Town, Trelawney on Independence Day. 15-year-old high school student Jamila Cole did not make it. She was allegedly pulled from her bed around 2 a.m. on Sunday, raped, tied up in a yam field, and brutally beaten to death. Jamila, her mother, and a 17-year-old cousin were reportedly beaten with wooden objects by 2 masked men. At least 3 men have been implicated in the incident. 2 were reportedly in custody up to Thursday. Police believe the issues have links to a domestic dispute. Now, Education Minister Favour Williams visited the home and expressed sorrow over the loss of the promising 4th form student of Troy High School in the parish. And the opposition PNP has condemned what it called the heinous and barbaric act against the Trelawney family. Spokesman on National Security Peter Bunting has urged the police to work tirelessly to solve the murder of Jamila and to stem the rising tide of murders experienced over the last few months. Government has ordered an investigation into Thursday's temporary closure of the Sangster International Airport in St. James, which resulted in chaos for passengers and airlines. The airport is the main gateway for tourists visiting the island. At least 12 flights were cancelled and several others diverted to the Norman Mann International Airport in Kingston. Dozens of passengers complained about the lack of communication and general inconvenience.
My name is Godfrey Burke, and I'm here and I'm caught up in the system of slackness and poor service that the country that I love so much and cherish so much, I will die for. Leave us hanging right here in Montego Bay at Sanctus Airport. We have a problem like this. That's what I was made to understand when I got here. They're having a problem with the runway. All right, fair enough. Everybody have problems. Everywhere in the world they have problems. But at least somebody from the airport authority should be here or that's connected to the runway to say, look, ladies and gentlemen, or gentlemen, whatever way you want to adjust us. This is the problem we are having.
Just state your names for me, please.
My name is Eugene O'Neill. This is Sabrina Denise O'Neill.
Okay. Can you just tell me what's happening here today with you?
Well, we were told that the runway is the problem, that our flight has been canceled, and that we can't get another flight until tomorrow. And being that we're Premier Access members, we're not getting accommodated on the flight tomorrow, and we have to sit in coach for that.
And we have a transfer.
And we have to transfer from Houston to Newark.
I signed it with the airline to pick me up and deliver me, and they're not delivering. So I guess it's an airport call, and they won't even give us a voucher.
So you're saying the airport is saying they're not responsible?
The airline.
The airline is not responsible?
Right.
Members of Jamaica's national women's football team, who were scheduled to return home on Thursday following their participation in the FIFA Women's World Cup, were left stranded. Now, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz expressed discontent with what transpired and has instructed that operators MBJ Airports Limited, Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority and the Airports Authority of Jamaica to each provide a detailed report. The Transport Ministry said the temporary closure of the runway at the airport was due to equipment failure and inclement weather, which affected upgrading work at the facility. Opposition spokesperson on transport, Michael Phillips, has also called for an urgent investigation by the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority into the operations of Jamaica's 2 main airports. The events at Sangster came less than a month after a closure at the Norman Mann International Airport, which also caused chaos. 2 executive members of the opposition People's National Party have filed a lawsuit challenging last month's amendment to the Jamaican Constitution, which will allow Director of Public Prosecutions DPP Paula Llewellyn to remain in office for an extra 2 years. Members of Parliament Philip Paulwell and Senator Peter Bunting are claiming that the government pushed the change for what it calls an improper purpose. The government used its numbers in both houses of parliament to approve a constitutional change that now puts the retirement age for the DPP and the Auditor General at 65, up from 60. The current DPP's tenure was extended by 3 years in 2020 and is due to expire in September. The PNP has argued that the constitutional change was to circumvent the requirements for extension that existed before, and they want the amendment declared unconstitutional. Information Minister Robert Morgan has dismissed the arguments of the PNP.
The government acted within the law. The government acted constitutionally. There is no question about the legal process that the government put forward. What is clear to the government is that the opposition is carrying out a personal vendetta against an individual. They have filed a claim in relation to one individual when the law was changed to affect 2 individuals. The public needs to ask themselves, why target this person? They have not provided any evidence of impropriety. They have not provided any evidence of inappropriateness of behavior. As a matter of fact, everyone in the legal fraternity, or at least most of them, who have given an appraisal of the work of this individual, has spoken about the transformative approach that this person has had to their office.
Government has insisted that the change was to bring the retirement ages for the 2 high offices in line with the Pensions Act, which moved general retirement age to 65 in 2017. Jamaica's Financial Investigations Division, FID, says there may be some merit to a claim that businesswoman Rita Humphreys-Lewin, who is reportedly battling dementia, was pressured to spend $2 billion to buy shares in investment firm Cornerstone. But the FID's principal director, Keith Darian, says the agency is not close to any definitive conclusions. The update follows news that Cornerstone and its top 2 executives, CEO and founder Paul Simpson and Chief Investment Officer Jason Chambers, have asked the Supreme Court to declare that a 2021 transaction involving Mrs. Humphreys-Lewin is legal and valid. They have sought the court's intervention following allegations by the retired businesswoman's niece, Deborah Mordecai Edwards, that the Cornerstone team used fraud and deceit to get her 86-year-old aunt to sell $15 million worth of shares in Barita Investments Limited to buy Cornerstone stocks. Mrs. Humphreys-Lewin sold brokerage firm Barita to Cornerstone in a $3 billion deal in 2018. 3 years later, in 2021, she bought 1.4 million shares in Cornerstone at $10.80 per unit through a private offer. She sold some of the remaining shares in Barita to cover the cost of the Cornerstone acquisition. Mrs. Mordecai Edwards claims that her aunt did not have a lawyer and that Cornerstone took advantage of the elderly woman because around the same time, she contends, the company sold the shares at a far lower price of $1.40. But Cornerstone has rejected those claims, arguing that the lower price was made to existing shareholders in a separate and unrelated deal. Cornerstone and its executives have also said they were not aware that Mrs. Humphreys-Lewin was diagnosed with dementia in 2019 and that she appeared sound throughout the negotiations. Jamaica continues to record a decline in birth rates over time and keeping the country in line with a global trend. A 2022 report by the Planning Institute of Jamaica shows that the country's crude birth rate fell from 12.4 in 2020 to 11.4 per 1,000 of the population in 2022. The Economic and Social Survey Jamaica, which was released in late July, said the lower rate indicates a decreasing population growth rate due to a shift in societal preferences towards smaller family sizes. It said factors contributing to the situation include increased urbanization, female labor force participation rates, and standard of living. Meanwhile, the report has also indicated that more Jamaicans are committing suicide. Latest data shows a 26% increase in the number of persons who took their lives in 2022 compared with the previous year. The report said 64 suicides were recorded in 2022, moving up from 51 in 2021. Males accounted for 90.6% of victims. Jamaica's suicide rate of just over 2 per 100,000 of the population remains well below the global average of 9.2 per 100,000. Grove Broadcasting Company, which operates IRIE FM, has slammed the Industrial Disputes Tribunal (IDT), claiming that its ruling for the radio station to reimburse dozens of employees for a 2020 salary cut was merely to appease the government. IRIE FM is expected to pay back millions of dollars in refund to more than 60 employees whose salaries were cut by 40 to 70%. Grove Broadcasting argues that the matter was not properly placed before the IDT. It said it will seek a judicial review of the decision. The historic run by Jamaica's Reggae Girls at the FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia ended with a 1-0 defeat to Colombia on Tuesday. Jamaica's head coach Lorne Donaldson said the players should be proud of themselves because they gave everything. Mr. Donaldson thought their run in the tournament was made more impressive when one considered that they had no international friendlies heading into the championships. Jamaica became the first regional team to qualify to the round of 16 at a World Cup after a 0-0 draw with Brazil. That result sent the South Americans packing from the tournament. And Jamaica's 16-year wait for a Netball World Cup medal ended last Sunday after the Sunshine Girls rebounded from a heartbreaking semi-final loss to Australia to defeat New Zealand 52-45 in the third-place playoff in Cape Town, South Africa. This is the first time New Zealand are finishing a Netball World Cup without a medal. Australia beat England for the gold medal. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on a notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson, and before we go, a look back at the Grand Gala celebrations to mark Jamaica's 61st anniversary of independence on August 6.
How long have you been coming to this event?
From I was a little girl. I used to be on the float, you know. When I was small, I used to on the float. But since from 77, from 1977, we don't go on the float again.
And Gala, is this where you are every year at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
All courtesy of Madam MP Favor Williams to give us the opportunity every year to be right there.
Okay. And is it something that you really enjoy?
Fully, 100% I do.